everyone, and welcome back to this channel, and welcome to a new episode of Literature News for the month of March. This is your go-to source for everything happening in the literary world. From shocking developments in global literary politics to major book releases and the latest trends in publishing, the month of March has been packed with stories that every book lover should know about. Today, we will be diving into the controversial sentencing of the Algerian-French writer Boualem Sansal, the biggest highlights from the London Book Fair, and the ongoing battle over book censorship, especially in the US. Plus, we will take a look at two newly released shortlists for two major literary prizes, new exciting book releases, and we will look what the month of April has in store for us regarding book fairs and literary events all over the world. So if you're ready, let's get started. On Thursday, March 27, an Algerian court sentenced French-Algerian writer Boualem Sansal to 5 years in prison and fined him 500,000 Algerian dinars, which is approximately 3,500 euros. This verdict comes after Sansal's arrest in November 2024 and months of legal proceedings that have strained diplomatic relations between Algeria and France. The 75-year-old author, known for his criticism of both Algerian government and Islamic fundamentalism, was found guilty of charges including undermining national unity, insulting public institutions, and actions likely to harm the national economy. These charges stemmed from an interview Sansal gave to the right-wing French media outlet Frontières in October 2024, where he questioned Algeria's current borders and suggested that France had redrawn them during the colonial period to include lands that once belonged to Morocco. The sentence is less severe than the 10-year prison term prosecutors had initially requested. Sansal, who has been suffering from prostate cancer, had been detained since his arrest and spent time in a hospital due to ill health. The case has sparked international attention and controversy. French President Emmanuel Macron and members of the European Parliament have called for Sansal's release. France's foreign ministry expressed disappointment with the verdict and called for rapid humanitarian and dignified resolution to the case. The case has exacerbated tensions between Algeria and France, with Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune criticizing Sansal as an impostor. Sansal's lawyer, Hossein Amine, stated that the author showed little emotion upon hearing the verdict and that there is a possibility of appeal. The case continues to be a focal point in the ongoing diplomatic rift between Algeria and France. One of the biggest literary events happening in the book world in March 2025 was the London Book Fair, which saw major discussions about the book and publishing world. One notable publication was a report released at the London Book Fair by GfK Entertainment and Nielsen IQ Book Data concerning fiction and non-fiction sales. It saw that fiction sales are booming across global book markets, while non-fiction struggles to keep pace. In 2024, 16 out of 18 international territories analyzed showed significant revenue growth in fiction. 5 countries reported double-digit increases: India, a plus of more than 30%, Mexico, plus of 20.7%, Brazil around 16%, Spain 12%, and Portugal 11%. The success of fiction was partly driven by social media, particularly TikTok's BookTok community, which boosted sales in romance and fantasy and science fiction genres. Authors like Colleen Hoover with her It Ends With Us series benefited greatly from this trend. Non-fiction sales grew in only 6 regions, mostly at lower rates than fiction. Children's and young adult titles showed mixed results but managed gains in 9 territories. Emerging markets led overall revenue growth. India a plus of 27%, Mexico 12%, Brazil 10% and Spain 9%. While established markets face challenges with revenue declines in New Zealand a minus of 6%, Ireland a minus of 3% and Australia a minus of 3%. The censorship of books has been an ongoing topic, especially in the United States, but also around the world. Here's a summary of the most frequent developments. In the United States, nearly 16,000 book bans have been documented in US public schools since 2021, with over 10,000 bans in the 2023-2024 school year alone. Florida and Iowa account for 81% of these bans. The targeted content is books about race, LGBTQ+ topics, sexual violence and mental health. Titles like The Handmaid's Tale and The Kite Runner are among the most targeted. Beyond outright bans, practices like targeted weeding and temporary library closures are increasingly used to suppress access to controversial books. States like Texas have passed laws criminalizing educators for providing certain books, for further intensifying censorship efforts. In Canada, libraries face sustained discussions about intellectual freedom and censorship, with similar concerns about restricting access to diverse voices continued in 2025. Governments worldwide are increasingly restricting access to ebooks and online content, impacting intellectual freedom beyond physical libraries. Diverse authors, particularly those writing about the LGBTQ+ or racial issues, are disproportionately affected by bans globally. So across nations, book censorship reflects broader societal debates on race, gender identity and free speech. The issue continues to evolve, with activists and organizations working to counter these restrictions through advocacy and legal challenges. What do you think about this topic? Has a book that you love been affected in your country, or is it something that bothers you? Let me know in the comments. Now on to some happier news. The publishing house Bloomsbury has announced the launch of a new science fiction and fantasy imprint called Bloomsbury Archer. Here are some of the key details. The imprint will publish a wide range of speculative fiction, including fantasy, science fiction, speculative romance, horror and myth retellings. The imprint is set to launch in the UK in autumn 2025 and in the US in 2026. Bloomsbury Archer plans to publish approximately 12 books per year. Some of the authors in the new imprint will be Samantha Shannon and Alan Moore. Next up, we want to look at two shortlists recently released for two major literary prizes. The first of them is the Women's Prize for Nonfiction, which has announced the 2025 shortlist on March 26. It features 6 diverse and compelling works. They are called 1,000 Threads by Nini Cherry, a memoir exploring the singer's life, music and personal journey. Secondly, The Story of a Heart by Rachel Clark, which is a medical narrative about a heart transplant connecting 2 children's lives and their families. Thirdly, Raising Hair by Chloe Dalton, a meditation on the relationship between humans and nature, focusing on a woman's bond with a young hare she's raising at her home during the COVID pandemic. 4. Agent Zoe, the untold story of courageous World War II resistance fighter Elżbieta Zawaka by Claire Molly, which is a biography of a remarkable World War II resistance fighter. 5th, What the Wild Sea Can Be, the Future of the World's Ocean by Helen Scales, which is an exploration of the ocean's future by a marine biologist. And 6th and last, Private Revolutions, Coming of Age in a New China by Yuan Yang, a portrayal of 4 Chinese women navigating societal changes. So the shortlist spans various genres, including memoir, history, science and current affairs. The shortlist for the Women's Prize for Fiction will be released next week on April 2, while the winner for both prizes, the Women's Prize for Fiction and Non-Fiction, will be announced on June 12. Next, we want to look at the Climate Fiction Prize shortlist for 2025, which has been announced in March as well. It's featuring 5 novels that explore the impact of climate change through compelling storytelling. The shortlist titles are The Ministry of Time by Kalyan Bradley, Briefly Very Beautiful by Ross Dineen, Orbital by Samantha Harvey, The Morning Side by Thea Ubrit, and So I Roar by Abi Daré. The Climate Fiction Prize, founded by Rose Goddard, Imran Khan and Leo Barassi, aims to celebrate the most inspiring novels tackling the climate crisis. The shortlisted works span various genres and settings, from time travel narratives to stories set in space stations. The winner of the $10,000 prize will be announced at a ceremony on May 14. Now we want to look at some of the most exciting releases of books in March 2025. The first of them is probably also the most well-known. It is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, the author of the Hunger Games series. This is what it is about. As the day dawns on the 50th annual Hunger Games, fear grips the districts of Panem. This year, in honor of the Quarter Quell, twice as many tributes will be taken from their homes. Back in District 12, Hamish Abernathy is trying not to think too hard about his chance. All he cares about is making it through the day and being with the girl he loves. When Hamish's name is called, he can feel all his dreams break. He is torn from his family and his love, shuttled to the capital with the 3 other District 12 tributes, a young friend who is nearly a sister to him, a compulsive oddsmaker, and the most stuck-up girl in town. As the games begin, Hamish understands he has been set up to fail, but there is something in him that wants to fight, and have the fight reverberate far beyond the deadly arena. So this book is revisiting the Hunger Games setting 50 years earlier with the character Hamish Abernathy, we've got to know pretty well in the Hunger Games series as the protagonist now. I think it sounds interesting, and it's been a major release of this month. Secondly, I want to look at The Dream Hotel by Laila Lalami, which has also been on the long list for the Women's Prize for Fiction 2025. This is what it is about. Sarah has just landed at LAX, returning home from a conference abroad, when agents from the Risk Assessment Administration pull her aside and inform her that she will soon commit a crime. Using data from her dreams, the RAA's algorithm has determined that she is at imminent risk of harming the person she loves most, her husband. For his safety, she must be kept under observation for 21 days. The agents transfer Sarah to a retention center where she is held with other dreamers, all of them women trying to prove their innocence from different crimes. With every deviation from the strict and ever-shifting rules of the facility, their stay is extended. Months pass and Sarah seems no closer to release. Then, one day, a new resident arrives, disrupting the order of the facility and leading Sarah on a collision course with the very companies that have deprived her of her freedom. I think it sounds like a very compelling narrative, and I would love to get into it very soon. Next one is quite a different one and very humorous, by John Scalzi, When the Moon Hits Your Eye. This is what it is about. One day soon, suddenly and without explanation, the moon as we know it is replaced with an orb of cheese with the exact same mass. Through the length of an entire lunar cycle, from new moon to a spectacular and possibly final solar eclipse, we follow multiple characters, school kids and scientists, billionaires and workers, preachers and politicians, as they confront the strange new world they live in and the absurd, impossible moon that now hangs above all their lives. I think that sounds quite funny, and I would love to read it very soon as well. And the last one is one that will probably make you think a little bit more. It is Changing My Mind by Julian Barnes, which is only 57 pages long, so the shortest in this list. This is what it is about. We always believe that changing our mind is an improvement, bringing a greater truthfulness to our dealings with the world and other people. It puts an end to vacillation, uncertainty, weak-mindedness. It seems to make us stronger and more mature. Well, we would think that, wouldn't we? In this work, Julian Barnes explores what is involved when we change our minds about words, about politics, about books, about memories, age and time. So it is a quite short book, but I think it could be quite thought-provoking. Let me know which one of these you're interested in, or if there are other book releases from March that you're interested to read or that you have read already in the comments, please. For the last section of this month literature news, we want to look at the month of April and the literary events you can expect. In Munich there is the Munich Literary Festival, the Oxford Literary Festival, the Ealing Book Festival in England, and the Festival du Livre de Paris in Paris. In North America there's the Quebec International Book Fair, the Unbound Book Festival in Columbia, Missouri, the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books, and the San Antonio Book Festival in Texas. In Asia, there's the Abu Dhabi Middle East Film and Comic Con, as well as the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair, the Eurasian International Book Fair in Kazakhstan, and the Tunis International Book Fair. In South America, there's the Feria Internacional del Libro de Bogotá in Colombia, and the Buenos Aires International Book Fair. And in Africa, there's Le Salon International de l'Édition et du Livre in Rabat in Morocco, Seton 2 Heures du Livre in Conakry, Guinea. In Australia, there's the Somerset Story Fest, the Sorrento Writers Festival, the Newcastle Writers Festival, and the Stratford Shakespeare Festival. I will link all of them below in the description of the video if you're interested in one or another event that you would like to attend. I hope you find something you're interested in, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Literature News. Let me know if there's something you would like me to include in the next episode, or is there something you would like to discuss below in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I hope I will see you in my next video.